Picking up where we left off, in this video, we're going to move into texturing. There isn't a huge amount of texturing needed for this character at this stage at least, but I want to show how I handle MetaHuman textures outside of Unreal Engine. Let's go through a little review of exporting. I have it already rigged, and you can see it's already has its blueprint. If you open the blueprint, you can select the body or the head from the components panel. Then locate the actual skeletal mesh in the details panel and just click Browse to Asset. Now in the content browser, I can right-click those meshes and export it. I already have my export settings prepared, so no LODs, no physics, and no morph targets. For now, I only need the base mesh. I repeat the same process for the other part, which is the head. Next, I want to go ahead and export some of these texture maps. I don't need the body textures for this step, so I won't export those, but I do want the head textures. What I need is the base color for the head and the normal map for the head. At this point, I am going to go ahead and export the eye base color, but that will come later. For the head base color and normal map, they are going to be the foundation for which I will build textures upon. Now, textures can be handled in most any software. In this video, we'll be using Substance Painter, but the same ideas apply if you're using 3D Code or something like Marmoset Toolbag. If you're working with ZBrush or another sculpting software, the process is slightly different. In that case, you're going to sculpt in the details, then you're going to bake the texture maps inside of that software, and then you're going to blend those maps with the original MetaHuman textures using a software like Photoshop. I'll give you an example here. So if you did the head mesh and you sculpted the details in, let's say ZBrush, go ahead and bake the maps out. You need the normal map and maybe the base color map. After baking the maps, go ahead and import those maps into Photoshop along with the original MetaHuman textures. For the base color, what you want to do is mask the new texture, right? And you're also going to put that texture in a layer above the original texture. After you mask it, go ahead and paint only the areas where you actually changed the details. You also want to feather the edges of the mask so you have a smooth transition from your new base color to the old base color. Hopefully the colors are close to the same level, otherwise you'll have to change the levels a little bit just so they match up. Now for the normal maps, once again, you're going to have two layers. You're going to have the original MetaHuman normal map, and then you're going to put your new normal map texture on top of that in a new layer. So same thing, you're going to blend it. This time you're going to use a blending mode. It's up to you if you want to use overlay or something like linear light. I typically use linear light when I want to really push the normal map a bit more, but overlay will give you a smoother gradient process when it comes to the masking step, which comes next. Go ahead and mask out the entire new mask, and then you just paint back in from that mask the details that you updated. And once again, you want to feather the edges so there's a smooth transition there. This prevents unwanted changes to the original facial plane, and you really don't want that. Now, this is also the exact workflow that I use creating Zoe in a video. Now, moving on to Substance Painter, I started in the starter mode that they automatically have. It automatically comes up when you click on it. And I keep the preview textures low. I say around 1K. You can go to 2K if you want. Then I import the head mesh that I have, the MetaHuman head mesh, and I want to go ahead and import those texture maps from the MetaHuman from Unreal Engine. Since I'm only editing the skin of the head, I will only focus on the head material. Everything else I can turn off or keep on. I go ahead and adjust the light and the camera FOV to reduce distortion, and so I can better evaluate the facial detail. Using the baking maps, you go to the baking option and set the size to 4K, or at least 4K. For this, just set the limit here so that you're only doing the head and neck. All the other layers you don't need to bake into. Now, before I do this baking, I'll go ahead back into the paint mode and apply the existing normal map to the head mesh. This way you can see the original details. Then I'll go ahead back to bake maps, disable that normal map here so it doesn't bake over it, and go ahead and select bake. Now back in paint mode, everything looks good. For demonstration, I'll add some anime-inspired battle scars here. I create a fill layer, and I'll go ahead and mask it and slightly lower the height value. So you have to toggle the height value on and go ahead and slightly lower the value by sliding the slider to the left. This will have the scars that I'm trying to make sink beneath the skin level. Now I select the color that fits an anime style wound. And use the brush with a stylized kind of slash shape to it. I'm going to make sure this layer stays on top. That makes sure that the scars remain clearly readable. Now I need to add some dirt here. And apply a smart mask for dirt to it. Then I add a paint layer above that and manually shape the grime so it feels intentional and stylized. Paintbrush. Any paintbrush will do. I believe this is charcoal. I want it to be closer to the anime styles, the markings, rather than realistic dirt. I'll refine the areas that I want with a smaller brush, and then I just erase away the rest of it with a larger brush. Finally, I'm going to go ahead and add another layer. This is for dust, and I'm going to use the same approach. Now I can use the bevel and the blur modifiers to help soften the edge and make the cut feel more natural. So it's looking good and it's ready to go. For Unreal, all I need is the base color and the normal map. Now, if I decided to go for the roughness, AO, or metallic maps, they have to be packed for the MetaHuman materials. Not only that, they have to kind of match up, especially the roughness map, so it doesn't look off. Now, I'm going to export. I'm going to go ahead and just enable the HID mesh here. I'm going to select base color and normal maps and set the resolution to 4K. It's fine where it's at, where it's dilating through the whole map. I leave the padding where it is, and I'm just going to export this as a PNG. Now back in Unreal Engine, I import the new textures. Inside MetaHuman Creator, the character portion, I go ahead and remove that rig, and then I'm going to open up the Material tab. Scroll all the way down till you see Texture Override section. It's here where you'll add the new overriding textures. Hit the plus sign, add the base color, and then you'll have to look for it in the category for the HID base color. Same thing with the normal map. Now, if changes don't appear immediately, MetaHuman Creator, this character part, sometimes needs a moment to refresh. Adjusting any parameter or refreshing the scene usually forces update, or sometimes you may have to wait a little bit. So that's it. That's the easiest way you can add textures. There's lots of other ways, and hopefully that helps you out. There are slight differences depending on the software you're using, but from my experience, the difference isn't much. In the next video, we're going to go ahead and move on to customizing hairstyle by creating new hair cards for the character. I'll see you there.